Have you ever scrolled online, seen a video, and just had that weird gut feeling, like something's not quite right, but you can't pin it down?
Or maybe the opposite. You saw something so convincing it really made you question what's real anymore.
Exactly. And that feeling, that's what we're diving deep into today. We're talking deepfake video scams, where honestly, seeing isn't always believing.
That's right. This is the second part of our look at deepfakes. We covered voice cloning last time, remember? So today, our mission, if you will, is to really unravel the world of deepfake videos, how they're made, the, surprising ways they're used, good and bad, and the huge ethical, legal, even personal challenges they throw up.
Yeah, the goal here is really to help you get properly informed. Because this digital world, it's changing fast, and those lines between real and fake are getting seriously blurry.
They really are.
Okay, so let's unpack this. It's kind of wild how much things have shifted. I was looking through our sources, and, before AI got so big, making a realistic deepfake, super hard, almost rare.
Took a lot of effort, yeah. A lot of expertise.
But what really jumped out at me, and this is where it gets kind of mind-blowing, is this claim that now, with AI, all you need is one single static image of someone.
Just one?
To create a whole deepfake video of them doing pretty much anything. Is that really where we're at?
Yeah.
One photo.
It is. It's a huge leap. I mean, think about it like this. Comparing old school scams to AI scams. It's like comparing, I don't know, sending a letter by post versus firing off an email.
Okay, slow versus instant. Got it.
Right. But then the sources point out even that analogy maybe only covers the simpler AI scams. Like, for AI-powered deepfakes, the leap is even bigger. It's more like comparing email to sending Morse code or a telegram.
Wow. Okay, that really paints a picture. The sheer speed and complexity difference is massive.
Absolutely enormous. So, okay, let's get into the anatomy of a deepfake. How are they actually built?
Yeah, let's do that.
Well, at the heart of it, it's artificial intelligence. Machine learning, specifically these things called deep learning algorithms.
Right.
And these algorithms, they get trained on huge amounts of data to basically mimic how someone looks or sounds.
And that first step, the foundation, it's just grabbing loads of data, right? Pictures, videos, interviews, anything you can find of the target person.
Exactly. The more source material, the more convincing the final deepfake. Now, researchers use data sets like wild deepfake to train their detection tools.
Okay.
But the bad actors, they're obviously hunting down content of the specific person they want to impersonate. Makes sense.
Right. They need the raw material of their target.
Precisely. So once they have that data, then comes the training of the AI model. And the real engine room here, the core tech, is something called Generative Adversarial Networks. GANs for short.
GANs. Okay, that sounds advanced. Adversarial networks. What does that actually mean? How does that work? Are they fighting each other?
Oh, in a way, yes. It's a great question. Think of it like two competing AIs.
Okay.
You've got the generator. Its job is to create the fake stuff, the synthetic image or video clip.
Trying to make it convincing fake.
Right. And then you have the discriminator. Its job is to look at what the generator made and decide, is this real or is this fake?
Ah, like a quality control check, but it's another AI.
Exactly. And they're locked in this this zero-sum game. The generator keeps trying to fool the discriminator. The better the generator gets at making fakes, the better the discriminator has to get at spotting them.
So they constantly push each other to improve?
Continuously. It makes the fakes more and more realistic over time. It's why Jan LeCun, one of the AI pioneers, called GANs the most exciting idea in machine learning in the last 10 years.
Wow, high praise.
It really highlights how powerful this approach is. And the key thing for you listening is that this constant automatic improvement cycle, it means deepfake tech isn't just getting better, it's refining itself incredibly quickly. Keeping up with detection is a real race.
That iterative process sounds incredibly powerful. So, okay, the model's trained, it's getting good thanks to this GAN process. What's next? How does it actually manipulate a face?
Right, so the next stage is facial mapping and manipulation. This is where the trained model takes the target's facial features, eyes, nose, mouth shape, expressions, and maps them onto another person's face or body in a video.
So it's lining things up.
Yeah, aligning all those little landmarks, matching expressions, trying to make the transition totally seamless.
And it's not just about swapping faces, is it? You mentioned other kinds of manipulation, more subtle things.
Oh yeah, definitely. There's a whole range. You've got identity swap, which is the classic face swapping. Think of those apps like ZAO where you could put your face in a movie scene.
Right, I remember those.
Then there's facial reenactment.
Yeah.
This is different. It keeps the target person's identity, but transfers expressions from someone else onto their face.
So making someone smile or frown when they weren't actually doing that in the original video?
Exactly. The BBC actually used this tech once to make a newsreader look like they were speaking different languages fluently. Their mouth movements were changed.
Whoa, okay.
Then you've got attribute manipulation. This is more like your Snapchat or TikTok filters changing hair color, making someone look older or younger, changing gender appearance.
Ah, yeah, we see that all the time.
And finally, there's entire face synthesis. This is where the AI just generates a completely new human face, someone who doesn't exist. StyleGAN is famous for creating these incredibly realistic but totally synthetic faces.
That's eerie.
It is a bit. And sometimes these techniques get combined. Remember that synthesizing Obama project back in 2017?
Vaguely, yeah. What did that do again?
They took existing video of President Obama, but they modified his mouth movements to perfectly match words from a completely separate audio track. It looked like he was saying things he never actually said on that video.
Okay, that feels like a big moment. 2017. Was that when people really started worrying about this stuff? Or was it still mostly seen as just cool tech back then?
It was definitely seen as a technical marvel, a real breakthrough. But yeah, it absolutely sparked a lot more conversation about, the potential downsides, the misuse possibilities. That's when the wider public awareness really started to grow.
Right. And of course, for a video deepfake to really work, the voice has to match too. We talked voice cloning last time.
Mm-hmm.
What's the crucial bit for video?
The absolute key is synchronization. The synthesized voice, the cloned voice, has to match the lip movements and facial expressions perfectly.
Otherwise, it just looks wrong.
Totally wrong. Like, if the voice sounds really happy and excited, but the person's face looks sad or bored, your brain immediately flags it. Something's off here. It's a big red flag for a potential fake.
Okay, so that's the how. It's complex, but you can see the process. Now, let's talk about this double-edged sword idea.
Yeah.
Because there are some genuinely cool, even positive uses for this tech, right? In entertainment, innovation.
Oh, absolutely. The good side, if you want to call it that, is pretty impressive. Entertainment's a big one.
Mm-hmm.
Think about bringing actors back who've passed away.
Like in movies.
Yeah, or even for things like museum exhibits. The Dali Museum created this amazing interactive Salvador Dali. Burger King even did a commercial featuring Andy Warhol using deepfake tech.
Ah, wild.
You can also resurrect historical figures for education. Imagine learning history from a realistic avatar of, say, Abraham Lincoln. Or think about virtual concerts. ABA and KISS have used avatars based on this kind of tech.
That ABA Void show, right? Yeah.
Exactly. And then there's personalized messaging for brands or influencers making hundreds of slightly different video messages without recording each one individually.
Efficiency. I could see that.
Yeah.
What about, okay, you mentioned the ZAO app, putting yourself in movies. Can I finally be the star of Die Hard? Is that the promise here?
Huh. Well, the tech allows for that kind of fun, yeah. Reface, Deepface Lab, there are apps for that entertainment side. But your question touches on something important. If we use this for historical figures, how do we keep it authentic? How do we stop someone from putting modern words or ideas into, say, Winston Churchill's mouth?
Right. That's a tricky ethical line, even for the good uses.
It absolutely is. Ethical guardrails are crucial even here. Other positive uses: film and TV production, editing dialogue after shooting without expensive reshoots, virtual fitting rooms for online clothes shopping, even potentially helping people with conditions like aphantasia, which MIT has explored.
Okay, so lots of genuinely creative and potentially useful applications.
Yeah.
But we have to talk about the flip side.
We do. The bad side. Misinformation, exploitation. This is where it gets really concerning.
Yeah, let's get into that.
So the big one is misinformation and disinformation. Spreading fake news, impersonating politicians to sway public opinion. It's a powerful tool for manipulation. There was that deepfake video of Hillary Clinton seemingly endorsing Ron DeSantis back in 2022.
Right, I remember that causing a stir. Didn't seem right, but it looked pretty convincing.
Exactly. And then there's the, frankly, really disturbing use in creating non-consensual pornographic material. This overwhelmingly targets women, and it's a massive violation of privacy, incredibly damaging, raises huge ethical alarms.
That's incredibly serious. But here's something interesting I saw in the sources, kind of counterintuitive maybe. It said that in the 2024 elections, cheap fakes, just manually edited videos, not AI deepfakes, were used something like 7 times more often than the sophisticated AI ones.
That's a really important point to highlight. Yes, traditional manipulation, simpler edits, misleading context. That stuff is still far more common in spreading disinformation right now.
So maybe the panic about deepfakes ruining elections is a bit premature.
Well, it tells us we can't only focus on the high-tech stuff. Your basic critical thinking skills, questioning the source, looking for context, checking other reports, those are still your absolute best defense against most of the manipulation you'll encounter online. It's not just about AI.
Good reminder.
But, and this is a big but, we shouldn't dismiss the deepfake threat either. Even if they're used less often right now, their realism poses a unique danger. They have the potential to erode trust in everything we see and hear online in a way that cruder fakes maybe don't. That erosion of trust is a serious problem in itself.
Yeah, that makes sense. If you can't believe your own eyes.
Yeah.
Where does that leave us? Okay, so knowing all this, the good, the bad, the tech, how do we navigate this? What are the big ethical and legal hurdles?
Ethically, the core issue is trust, isn't it? Deepfakes mess with our fundamental ability to trust what we see and hear, especially online. They blur truth and lies. And they can be weaponized, blackmail, intimidation, ruining reputations. The psychological harm can be immense.
And legally. Sounds like a nightmare to regulate.
It's incredibly challenging. Who's responsible when a deepfake causes harm? The person who made it, the platform that hosts it. Proving who created it can be really hard. Attribution is tough. Then you've got violations of privacy, autonomy, especially when consent isn't given, like with the non-consensual pornography. How do you hold people accountable? Plus, copyright issues, intellectual property. It's a legal minefield.
Wow. Okay. But people are trying to fight back, right? Developing ways to detect these things.
Yeah.
Mitigation strategies.
Yes, definitely. There are basically two main fronts: tech-based detection and legal policy measures.
Let's start with the tech. How do you use AI to catch AI?
Well, researchers are building AI tools specifically designed to spot the tiny flaws or inconsistencies that deepfake algorithms often leave behind. Things humans might miss.
Like what?
Like unnatural blinking patterns. Sometimes deepfakes don't blink quite right or at a weird rate. Subtle facial tics that don't look natural. Weird shimmering or flickering in parts of the video. AI can be trained to pick up on these almost invisible digital fingerprints. Microsoft, Intel, they've both released tools.
Are there specific tools maybe businesses or even regular people could use?
Yeah, there are more comprehensive platforms emerging. Sensity AI does real-time assessment across different media, video, images, audio. Sentinel is another one, cloud-based, uses things like facial landmark analysis, checks if movement is consistent over time, looks for that flicker, aiming for high accuracy.
Okay.
And for you, the listener, something practical. Check out deepware.ai. It's a free online tool. You can just paste a video link or upload a file, and it'll give you an assessment of whether it thinks it's a deepfake.
That's really useful. Deepware.ai.
Oh,
Okay. It's just amazing how fast this is moving. Thinking back to that Obama video in 2017, and now we're talking about needing just one photo. What's the biggest surprise you saw in how detection is trying to keep pace?
I think what's most surprising is the focus shifting to these incredibly subtle, almost subconscious cues. It's not always about spotting a massive glitch anymore. It's about the AI learning to see inconsistencies in light reflection in the eyes, or the physics of how hair moves, or tiny temporal inconsistencies between frames that our eyes just glide over. It's becoming a microscopic battle.
An arms race at the micro level.
Pretty much. And detection has to keep evolving because the generation tech does too.
So besides detection tools, what about other mitigation strategies for companies, for us?
For organizations, things like multi-factor authentication become even more important, especially if deepfakes are used for social engineering. Understanding how attackers might use this tech, staying updated, and crucially, educating staff. Make sure people know this exists and what to look out for.
And for individuals. Critical thinking, like you said.
Absolutely. Question everything. Verify information from multiple sources. Be skeptical of things that seem designed to provoke a strong emotional reaction.
Okay, and what about the other side, the legal and policy measures? What's happening there?
Well, it's definitely an evolving landscape. Globally, laws are trying to catch up. We're seeing social media platforms like Facebook and Twitter putting bans on malicious deepfakes.
Is there anything happening at the government level, say, in the U.S.?
In the U.S., there isn't one big comprehensive federal law specifically for all deepfakes yet, but there are moves. There's legislation like the Identifying Outputs of Generative Adversarial Networks Act, kind of a mouthful, which funds research into detection. And there have been proposals like the Deepfakes Accountability Act.
What would that do?
It aims to do things like requiring clear labeling or disclosure on deepfakes, trying to prevent their deceptive use in elections, and setting penalties like fines or even jail time for creating harmful, undisclosed deepfakes.
So attempts to create accountability.
Exactly. And some states are moving faster. California passed a law back in 2019, AB 602, specifically giving victims of non-consensual deepfake porn the right to sue the creators.
Oh, focusing on a specific, very harmful application.
Right. Plus, you've got federal agencies like Homeland Security, DARPA. They're actively working on developing detection tech, too. And the FTC, the Federal Trade Commission, is pushing for transparency and accountability from companies using AI.
So a lot happening, but it sounds like it's still playing catch up to the technology itself.
That's often the case with fast-moving tech, yeah.
Okay. So let's try and wrap this up. We've gone on quite a journey here. We looked at how these deepfakes are made, using AI like GANs, needing maybe just one photo now, which is kind of terrifying. We explore the two sides, the genuinely cool stuff in entertainment and innovation, but also the really dangerous potential for misinformation, exploitation.
A double-edged sword.
And then we dug into the huge ethical questions, the legal struggles, and the ongoing race between creating fakes and detecting them.
And I think the big takeaway here, why this matters so much for everyone listening, is just how profoundly this tech is blurring those lines between what's real and what's fake.
Yeah.
It means that skill we talked about, critical thinking, it's not just useful anymore. It's becoming absolutely essential for navigating the world.
So maybe the final thought to leave everyone with. In a world where AI can make anyone appear to say or do anything, potentially from just a single picture, how do we collectively adapt? How do we figure out what's genuinely authentic anymore?
Yeah, and what steps will you personally take? How will you verify the stuff you see online? And what's our shared responsibility here, to maintain some level of trust in this increasingly digital world?
Lots to think about there. A challenging future, but hopefully understanding it is the first step.